On behalf of Rota and Education above all, welcome to Day 4 of Virtual Empower 2020. And thank you for committing time in your weekend to being here with us. We strongly believe in providing a meaningful learning experience here at Virtual Empower 2020. So we really hope that you're feeling the benefits and appreciating the opportunity. To kick off Day 4, we have another great webinar for you, which will focus on the role of media and technology on peace, inclusion, and security, something I'm pretty sure you're interested to hear about.
But welcome to all the participants for Day 4 of the V Empower 2020 conference. Could we start with introductions? Perhaps tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and the organizations you work for. So if I could start with Jennifer.
So my name is Jennifer Russell. I'm joining you this afternoon your time. It's this morning for me. I'm in New York in the United States. I work with an organization called IEARN, the International Education and Resource Network. And I'm excited to share with you today about my work, which is virtual exchange. So it's with using technology to connect youth to learn together. So that'll be the lens I bring to this discussion, and I'm looking forward to sharing and hearing from all the panelists.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Sharif.
Okay, my name is Sharif Tokali. I am from UNDP Somalia. I'm an innovation specialist, and today I will share about the innovation for development, and also the newly accelerated hub in Somalia. Over.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sharif. Do we have Letitia? Oh, Letitia seems to have just dropped off my screen, so I'll jump right ahead to Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Jessica, are you with us?
Awesome. Yes, I am. Okay, I'm getting a thumbs up from Jennifer, so hopefully you all can hear me. But hello, I'm Jess. I'm actually based in Oregon, so I'm on the West Coast. So it's pretty early for me, but I'm so excited to be here. And I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wicked Saint Studios. And so we create interactive story games that are wickedly fun and actively good. So where you actually get to practice how to deal with conflict within the story game, and then we prompt you to then be a hero within the game, and then we prompt you to be a hero in real life. And so that's what I'll be sharing with you guys today.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you very much. Do we have Letitia? I can see from my screen she seems to have dropped offline. Letitia, are you there? While waiting for Letitia and Mariam, Jennifer, could you tell us a little bit about your organization, some of your overall goals, just to so the participants can understand perhaps where you work in the world, what your objectives are?
Great, absolutely. And I have some visuals if now is the time to start sharing more broadly about virtual exchange and my work with IEARN. So I might go ahead and do that. But first, maybe a little bit more on the personal end. So I have been working in the field of cultural exchange for 10 years. My journey started as a student when I had the awesome opportunity to go and study abroad. I studied in Mexico and learned Spanish. And then as a young professional, I joined what's called the Peace Corps in the United States. It's where you go and volunteer in another country for a few years. So I lived and taught in Albania for 2 years and China for a year. All this work then led me to where I currently am in my career, which is looking at how we can use technology for that same thing that we can do in person for cultural exchange. So when we don't have the opportunity to travel, which is the case these days, how can we still build those bridges of understanding and peace with one another? So that's what I'm going to share about today and the work with IEARN. So I'm going to hit the screen share so you have something besides my face to look at. So give me a moment as that gets set. Great, and I think I'll look for a thumbs up from, I can see Sharif and George, if you can see my screen. Thank you so much for that thumbs up. Great, so, you know, I think especially in my home country in the United States, recently I've experienced a rising level of nationalism, anti-immigrant sentiments, lack of understanding and distrust of those who are different, speak a different language, come from a different culture. And so my work is all about, and Iron's work is all about building bridges of understanding. How can we use technology to help us connect with one another in meaningful ways? So we're reducing this sense of mistrust and misunderstanding from people from other countries or other cultures or just other communities from our own. And how can we help break this cycle and become empathetic and global citizens? So what we do is called virtual exchange. And this is essentially taking that experience you might have in person from getting to know another culture, learning a new language, maybe becoming part of a host family like you might on a study abroad exchange, but really looking at how we could do that using media and technology and connect with one another with all of the tools we have at our disposal these days. So I just want to give you a little bit about my organization. So IEARN actually started in 1988. And at the time, during this time, the United States and the then Soviet Union were in the Cold War. So there was a lot of mistrust, misunderstanding, and seeing each other as the enemy. So during this time, the founder had this idea: what if we could use technology, get youth to connect with one another, talk to one another, do the work together, and at this time it was science classrooms connecting, and become friends. You know, if we just had people becoming friends with one another, would that help build peace between our countries? So you can imagine the technology in 1988, not quite as robust as we have today. But the sentiment now, of course, is we have now at least the internet. We have so many rich media and technology tools to connect us and help us to build those bridges. And so we continue on this thread of citizen diplomacy. So it's not just the world leaders of our countries that can solve the world's problems together. It's regular citizens, it's youth, it's teachers, it's professionals that can connect with one another and learn from each other. And we do this using technology and really looking about how we can make use of rich online spaces to build those cross-cultural connections. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a peek at what it is in action, some examples from youth around the world. So anything from simple photography and storytelling projects. So there's a project called One Day in the Life, where youth around the world take photos of their everyday lives to share with one another as a way to learn about their cultures and identities, ask each other questions, and to get curious across those lines of difference. There's even a twist on the project where those students who are really interested in media and want to learn how to do editing, they do some photoshopping and crop each other and picture themselves in another environment. So, and actually this photo here, you have a student from Taiwan and a student from the US. The student from the Taiwan sort of pictured themselves in this US library as part of the project. Okay, and just another really quick example is the Peace Education Camp. This was created by youth and teachers in Georgia in the Caucasus, and they came up with this project to get kids, youth talking together about how they can build peaceful societies. And so it starts with an exploration of peace, and the youth designed the activities that they were going to do to engage in dialogue and discussion with their partners. In this photo, you see a connection between Georgia and Japan. So they're talking about what their definition of peace is, what peace means to them, and the values that they hold. And then they imagine themselves as leaders in government or in business, and describe what they would do to build peace in their settings. All of this done online, all of this, these projects looking at how we can connect from two different places, sometimes even within the same country, to get to know one another through a project. And so through doing this, we are really looking at building mutual understanding and empathy. So when you're able to connect with your peers from somewhere else and be curious and learn and ask, that's how we build friends and reduce that sense of mistrust and misunderstanding. And so one of the unique opportunities we have with technology and with doing things like virtual exchange is you can connect across places that you might not be able to travel to and learn about. In IRN, we have students, youth from 125 countries connecting. And many places that I wouldn't be able to travel to, I can connect with and talk to online. And so this is really one of the great benefits of technology. But there's also the caution to this too, is we have educators guiding this experience. It's good to join a program and have it shaped and moderated a little bit. So experienced dialogue facilitators can help. If there's ever misunderstandings that come up, they can help mediate and help to move the dialogue forward. Okay, so that's just a little bit about virtual exchange. Thank you for letting me share. I know we have a robust set of facilitators, so I'll stop there and catch up on the chat as I listen to the others.
Okay. Thank you,
Jennifer. So much, Jennifer, for a really interesting overview of what IRN does. Can everyone still hear me? Okay, yeah. Good. Excellent. I'm actually really pleased that one of my colleagues in our ICT for Abdul Baki is on the line. I'm far more familiar with this field than I am.
Before we start, I'm really congratulate you and the organizers of Empower Youth Conference and the way they conducted and the way it's also the session. So I'm really happy with the discussion for the few days of the Empower and how sports, arts, as well as impact on climate change and environmental challenge leading to global conflict, as well as how also sports and art could build bridges and peace among young people from different cultures and nations. So also without media and technology, especially in the post-COVID-19 pandemic, achieving global peace might be harder. Media and technology now is becoming the tool for negotiation, mediation efforts, and with the youth in the leadership and front lines as the main users of technology. We cannot do anything we cannot ignore them. We need to empower the youth and also mobilizing them as agents of peace through technology. Going back to Somalia, so just to give you some information about Somalia, and I'm happy also one of the participants or the listening is from Asia and also from Somalia. So we have like more than in the global, we have like 1.8 billion people are living today are aged between 10 and 24 years old. So this is the largest generation of young people in the history. And technology now and social media, mobile phones have helped to make many of this generation better connecting than ever with new sense of power and potential. So, but young people also facing a lot of challenging or many challenging, like more than 1 in 5 are not employed or education or trained. Also, 1 in 4 young are affected by violence. Millions, you can see also millions of girls become mothers while they are still children. So youth are denied also a seat in decision-making tables. So we can see all over the world that also when we're coming to youth in decision-making, those not are well presented. In Somalia, we have a remarkable demographic situation. Like more than 70% of the population are under 30 years old. So, and this is also combined with high level of youth unemployed. And also young people also are amongst the worst affected by COVID-19 pandemic, including in education, losing jobs, and highlighted risk of violence at home. So if you are creating a more peaceful, sustainable world and fulfill the vision of 2030, we need young people to lead. So for this, UNDP in Somalia is working closely with national institutions as well also with the media, civic actors to help the fight against the spread of COVID-19. We develop a media website together with the government to give some information, because we found also most of the information in the social media like misleading or misinformation. So what I can give you also one of the initiatives that we also started in Somalia last year, where we approach, we make a call for participation from youth to empower them with the skills for digital storytelling, and we train them to be a videography and photography, and also making blogs and stories. And the idea of this, we want the Somali youth themselves to start sharing the challenges they are facing, the community, the development challenges they are facing, and to put it on also using the social media and put it, and also to help also, and also encouraging other youth to come up with the solutions for this challenge. So when the COVID-19, alhamdulillah, that we have this group of people. So this group of people, instead of start developing the awareness of the COVID-19, how the some videos, some materials, also including the person with disability, and this has helped a lot in spreading the social media with the Somali content that also fighting for the COVID-19.
Thank you, Sharif. And I think, Jessica, you were able just to give a brief introduction about yourself, but let me just add that Jessica is an award-winning communication specialist and common ground activist. She has formerly spent 4 years running the global communication department and 7 years training young peace builders and activists all over the world on social change communication. So Jessica, I'll give you the floor now to share your presentation and thoughts.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everyone. So first of all, can you hear me? Can I get a thumbs up from my panelists? Yay! Okay, awesome. This is great. So hello, everyone. Good afternoon for you. And so excited to talk a little bit about technology and how we can use that in peace building. So as was said in my introduction, for the last 7 years, I've worked for Search for Common Ground, so the world's largest dedicated peace building organization, doing social change communication. So shifting attitudes and behavior using messaging and storytelling. And one thing that we have learned, that we know, is that people don't change their behavior by giving them information. They change their behavior through experiences. And so this is the amazing thing about technology, is that we can actually give people experiences. And not only that, but we can actually scale these experiences. So a lot of peace building is done, face to face, but with technology, we can reach thousands, millions at a time. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do with Wicked Saints. And so I'm going to share my screen so I can share some visuals with you. Feel free to interrupt me at any time, moderator, if it's not coming through. Awesome. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of background of how we arrived where we arrived. So for the last 7 years, I've been doing social change communication trainings in the field for Search. And what I call it is, I call it the tattoo method. And this is why. So oftentimes when you're doing marketing or communications or branding, a brand is very top down, where you or someone at the top decides what their promise is, and then they consistently sell that promise to their customer. The problem is that when someone's trying to sell you something, you automatically do not trust them. And trust is so key. And so I believe that social change communication should look much more like tattooing, where someone sees something that they identify with and claim it as their own. And so this whole process of developing messaging and storytelling and activities should really all be based on your audience. And it's all about, how do we give them ownership over these ideas, over these words, so that they're able to use them with their peers, with their family, in their daily life. And so those are the kind of trainings that we do in the field. And through these trainings, so I've done them in Colombia, Myanmar, Jordan, Nigeria, Burundi, Armenia, and keep going. And through all this time, I've met so many different types of young people. I've met, peace builders. I've met activists. I've met former extremists. I've met current gang members. And all of them have one thing in common. They all want to matter. And so what we began to do is we began to try to develop a hero journey because we wanted to mobilize millions of young people for what we call common ground activism. And so common ground activism is basically like peace building. It's how to attack the problem instead of each other. And our first kind of try at doing this using technology was a pilot called Battle for Humanity. And so Battle for Humanity was a gamified app. And the way that it worked was, well, let me back up for a second. So the idea behind Battle for Humanity was, okay, we know people change their experiences. So let's prompt the young people to have these experiences. So the way it worked is you'd sign up, you'd get your own profile, and then you could choose missions to do online or in real life that would help build up your community. You'd go out, do a mission, take a picture of yourself doing the mission, upload it into the app, and you'd get its own battle filter and pre-populated hashtags to share with everybody else around the world that was doing the same thing. And so what we found when we did this is we had a lot of young people sign up for the game, and a lot of them changed their profile description to like, I want to change the world. And they had so much ambition. Yet very few of the young people on the game would actually go out and do the missions. And so we're like, okay, what is stopping them from doing something? What is that barrier that's keeping them from actually going out and engaging in real life? And if I had 30 minutes, I'd get into the whole pathway of how we got there, but I'll just let you know the answer. And the answer was we found that they lacked self-efficacy. And so self-efficacy is your belief in your ability to accomplish your goal. And social cognitive theory says that self-efficacy is the #1 indicator whether someone will take action or not. So basically, in the simplest terms, they didn't have confidence. They didn't actually believe that they could go change the world and they had power to change the world around them. But there is one place they can always go where there's always a chance to improve, there's always a chance to win and to be a hero, and that's through gameplay. And so we started looking into games. There's all this research about how games build self-efficacy because they allow you to practice behavior and then get feedback for that behavior. And of course, it's in a really fun environment. And then we looked more closely at interactive story games. And so I'll show you our interactive story game in a second. But the really cool thing about story games is, for the last 7 years, I've been doing trainings around storytelling. And storytelling is so important because if you can experience something yourself, you can vicariously experience something through a character. You can watch a movie, you can read a book, and kind of vicariously see their experience. Well, interactive story games are kind of like choose your own adventure novels, choose your own adventure stories. And so, and once I started playing more of these games, I thought, oh my gosh, this is the next evolution of media-based behavior change. Because you're not just vicariously living through a character, you are the main character. So you get to decide how to respond in a situation. So what do you do if a bully's coming at you? What do you do if a bully's coming at someone else? And it works perfectly with conflict because if you respond aggressively in a situation, the chances of retaliation is high. If you respond passively in a situation, you become a bystander. But between being aggressive and passive, there's all these other ways that you could respond in a situation that could actually de-escalate the situation, reduce harm, and create an ally. And so wouldn't it be great if you could practice what to do in these tough situations? And so that's how we came up with our idea to create interactive story games where you can play the hero within the game and then we'll prompt you to be a hero in real life. And so there's 2 types of gameplay. There's sagas and there's real life missions. So sagas, so it's basically the stories, allow you to practice handling conflict in tough situations, allow you to experience safely the consequences of your decisions, and then transfer those skills into the real world and their communities by actually unlocking missions to do in the real world. And so the way that our particular game works is that each day players start with a limited amount of courage points, which you spend on major choices. Each choice is a kind of a gamble. So using behavior change science, you can choose a decision. And if it's a decision that we deem is basically the right decision, or that we want to encourage you to make more of those decisions, you can spend your courage points on the decisions, but you'll actually earn some of those points back if you use things like empathy and building trust. And so the game that we have that we're currently trying to raise funds for and building right now is called Pathways, and it's a young adult episodic adventure game. So it's kind of, so you, after being accepted into a futuristic institute, bad timing sets you up to take the fall for a crime you didn't commit. You have 1 week to find the real culprit, and if you don't, it's more than just your life at stake. So it's this mystery adventure game. And the cool thing about it is as you're playing the game, you're able to, it's all about relationships. And so you'll be able to practice what to do with these characters and grow and hopefully build your confidence as you continue to play. And then we'll unlock missions for you to do in the real world and hopefully build a community around that. And so I'm going to stop sharing here. So bottom line, if I could give any advice to young peace builders out there who are wanting to kind of map out a hero journey for your community, just really focus on your audience. So who are they and what do they know? What do they think? What do they feel and what do they do? And then what do you need them to know, think, feel, and do in order to make whatever kind of change you're trying to make in the world? And then to bridge those two, just think about what experiences could get them there. What experiences would help them feel differently? What experiences would help them gain a new opinion or new knowledge about something? And and so my time is far up. So so I'm here on the chat, and thanks again for having me today.
Thanks a lot, Jessica. Definitely we will have questions for you. I see lots of reactions for your talk on the chat room. And I mean, I can't speak enough about what you've shared.
Maybe we go to Leticia.
You implied something like problem posing, what we call it in education, and real life simulation for youth to practice and take decisions so that they can be prepared.
Can you hear us?
In real life. Now I would pass to Leticia. Leticia is a communications specialist who has experience in press, broadcast, and e-journalism. Leticia developed and hosted a radio show on the Sustainable Development Goals in collaboration with the UNESCO office in Beirut under the NetMed Youth in Lebanon. So Leticia, the ground is yours now if you would like to start and share your presentation.
Hello, thank you, Anwar. I just want to make sure that you are all hearing me.
Yes.
Really? Okay, great. Thank you for the talk.
Just introduce yourself, Anwar.
Yes. Well, before I start, thank you for your talks. What I've noticed and what I've seen in this since the beginning of this session, we are talking about the new digital technologies, how we are helping youth in using the digital tools and the new media. And as I tend to do, and we all tend to do, is to forget their role in the traditional media sector. I just wanted to ask you, when was the last time that you saw a young person on a TV show or on a radio show, you heard them on a radio show, or maybe read an article written by a young person in the newspaper? Maybe that was not a long while ago, but what was the context? What were they talking about in their space, either on TV or on the radio? Was it maybe linked to some entertainment show or something related to an informative segment, a fashion program? I think yes, because as I've noticed and as we've seen, and especially in the MENA region, the space given for youth and the traditional media, either television, radio, or on the newspapers, is generally linked to something related to entertainment, maybe. And if they have a program, maybe, or something to talk about that is a little bit more serious or more related to their social problems or their political maybe opinions, etc., they are rarely given a space during prime time or maybe appearing in the front pages of newspapers or magazines. It's as if the more serious matters are kept to other generations, and youth, let them have a little bit of fun using the traditional media and let them stay in the digital new technologies and media they are using. Well, that is maybe using the digital tools is very important, and we are really seeing a great impact through this use. However, we should not forget our right of representation in the traditional media. And we know that the use of traditional media is declining. However, we cannot deny that the traditional media has a great impact, especially with the rise of fake news online and the misuse of information in the digital tools and the informative websites you can see online. Therefore, even when we use some websites to check online, they are, let us think they are generally linked to known media channels. For example, a known, let's say, newspaper that has a certain credibility, has a website. We consult the website and it's more credible because it is linked to traditional media. Therefore, traditional media remains the most credible information source. I think we all agree. And the one with the most potential to create impact on a large scale and to mobilize society and influence governors, policymakers, and decision takers. I am talking especially in the MENA region. I know that in other regions of the world, for example, one tweet can make a politician change their statement or make drastic changes in the country. However, I think that we have not really reached that in our countries yet. Hopefully we will do so. Well, why is it then important for youth to be present in traditional media, and what is the role that they can play? I think that youth in the MENA region have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of issues to advocate for. We have a lot of problems that we need to solve. But also, we have a lot of achievements to showcase. We have a lot of solutions to propose for every kind of problem we have in our countries. We have initiatives to promote for the sake of the whole society. From everyday struggles we have to future aspirations and ambitions we want, who is better than us youth to talk about things that matter to us youth in the media? I will share a little bit some points with you through my screen. Hopefully it will work. Well, anyway, I'm going to continue. I think I have a small issue. Here we are. Okay. So, what can youth do in traditional media? Through these media spaces, youth can raise questions and concerns. We can raise questions and concerns that we have and promote cohesion, dialogue, inclusion. And through this means, we can feel less alone when we see one of us talking about our struggles and problems on a TV or on a radio show. We will feel less frustrated and have the urge to engage and have less urge to engage in extremist movements maybe and violent acts to have our voices heard. We can also adopt fresh solutions and ideas and create more collaboration opportunities. Second, we can advocate for our rights and needs, thanks to the power of the media, as I've mentioned before. Through this space we will have, we can reach the ears of policymakers and governments. We can also gain the support of social entities and the large audience. Through digital media, we are not really capable of reaching all the audience, of reaching all scales of the society, for example. And third, we can mobilize society, as I've mentioned, towards important issues. Then we can shed the light on initiatives, as I've mentioned also before, and on youth success stories. This will inspire other youth and promote positive change on a large scale. Four, we can bring new blood to media. I think that traditional media really needs our help, needs the new, fresh ideas of youth, needs us to be there. I am really here to say that we should not give up on our right to be in the traditional media, just as much as it needs us to. And through this, we can change towards more inclusive societies and have more representation for all youth in the society. Finally, we can raise awareness through traditional media, and especially on important matters, such as we did in our radio program, the one that we did with UNESCO. So what we did, and thanks to UNESCO, by the way, and the Networks of the Mediterranean program, which gave us the space on one of the most leading or the most important radio stations in Lebanon, which is the Voice of Lebanon, South Lebanon. And we had a show during prime time. It was on Friday, during drive time, actually, when everyone is listening to the radio on their way back, especially in Lebanon, we have a lot of traffic. I guess it's everywhere also around the world, but here it's a little bit more especially. So we had the chance to talk about SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, through our program. We had the chance to invite fellow youth who had done, had so many great ideas and initiatives for the whole society to reach the Sustainable Development Goals until 2030, and it was really a great success. So through the radio show, we had the chance to talk to everyone. Our parents, our neighbors who were in the car were listening, and we could see the impact we were doing from such a small thing. So it is important also to note that youth in the Mediterranean area constitute 30% of the population. I'm saying between 15 and 29 years old. And we need to see that reflected in our spaces, in the media, in our the time given to us through traditional media. I will move on now to the challenges that we are facing, and why don't we have enough space in traditional media? What is hindering us from having the ability to express ourselves and talk about our aspirations and problems? The challenges we have. First, the perception of youth in the eyes of media outlet owners and production companies is generally not very supportive. Can you hear me? Second, in Lebanon, we have every outlet has its political background. And at some point, we have to be a political party or to support the political
politique des institutions médiatiques change la perception de la jeunesse.
Translation in French, by the way, I don't know why it's showing in my feed, and since I know French, it's a bit confusing. So, when a media outlet has a political background,
les institutions médiatiques ont un background politique.
And therefore, that is a major problem, especially here. You have to be related to one political party or another.
Donc, on sait qu'il nous faut faire partie ou avoir une certaine affiliation, une certaine appartenance à
media outlets.
Un parti politique dans toute institution médiatique. Donc, on a de la peine à écouter l'interview.
In order for them to express themselves and to say that, well, here we are giving the space for youth, you have to talk about what you need to talk about now. And it's like a theater play, because they tell you, they put them in the train, and youth have to say whatever is good for the agenda of the media outlet, which is not acceptable and which will not really give us what we need regarding our representation in the media. And the fourth challenge is the lack of media literacy and training that we have as youth. Let us face it, maybe we have ideas, maybe we have a lot of things to say, but we do not have the skills and the way and the means to use media and to say it. What should we do about these challenges? I believe that we really need to advocate for our right as youth to be represented in the media, and never stop doing that. Never just we will take care of, we will stay connected and we'll have the online space and that's enough. I think not. Second, we need to mobilize society and organizations in order to put pressure on media outlets for them to give us the space to express ourselves. Then we should have the tools that help us gain or reach our goals, and that is through trainings and for media and advocacy skills that we could be given to different parts of the country, to all youth that could use these means. And also we need to work on our educational systems. And that is a very important point for me, because I believe that our educational system, especially here, I am trying to talk about my own experience here in Lebanon and in the region. They rarely give us the right tools to actually be able for us to be able to form our own opinions and express ourselves without fear and without really having trouble forming our own opinion, independent from our society, independent from our parents and system, etc. I think that our educational system should build a generation of thinkers, allow us to it should promote acceptance and tolerance and peace and inclusion in our educational systems. And therefore, us as youth will graduate with more empowerment, and we will be able to really be ready to give our input and to express ourselves, especially through traditional media. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Leticia. I have to say you gave a very profound presentation and some kind of a roadmap, probably for youth and for, let's say, structural systems and educational systems, maybe to give youth the voice they deserve and probably allow them to be change makers in the society. Now, maybe to touch upon this, I would direct this question to other panelists as well. So how do you think youth can use media and technology to mobilize inclusion, peace, and security? Of course, I think, Leticia, you touched upon this slightly by saying, like, advocating for both the right of youth to be given a proper voice and also probably the responsibility of youth while using media, probably social media. So maybe I would start with Jennifer to reflect upon this in the context of iEarn as a network, the International Education and Resource Network. Yes, Jennifer?
Thanks, Anwar. So I think that youth have an incredible role to play as change makers, and media and technology being some very powerful tools at their disposal. I think, you know, I work a lot at the micro level, and I think iEarn does as well in relationship building, people to people. And so, you know, don't underestimate the power of those individual connections that you make, and towards building a more peaceful and inclusive society. So if we're all taking interactions and stepping outside of our own community a little bit, looking for and being open to others who might have a different opinion or a different belief, and engaging there and having a dialogue and discussion. And I really appreciated Jessica's sharing on some tips and tools and games that youth can use to practice those skills. I think these micro connections are really powerful. And so, you know, are the tools that we have, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, there's and educational platforms that are doing this as well. Incredible opportunity for building that, those micro connections, those individual connections, which do influence society. So I think that's where iEarn and the network works, is a lot on those people-to-people connections. It's really powerful for shaping. And, you know, if you are having that experience and meeting someone online, whether it's through an education program or through a game, and learning something, you know, being empowered to share that, share it with your family, share it with classmates or school. And so don't having that transformational experience stop with just you thinking about how you can share that.
I completely agree. So you are so powerful because you have a whole sphere of influence that you might not even realize how big that is. And you just impacting one person, that can impact another. So even if you don't maybe have a big platform yet, it's great to start practicing engaging with people and start practicing in this way, so that when as you do this, you'll learn and you'll grow, and then hopefully you'll get more opportunities to impact more people. One kind of advice that I would give as we're going forward, sometimes as young activists, we got a lot of ideas, and so therefore we're not quite as good at listening all the time. And so and peace building is actually such an incredibly powerful tool to make any kind of change that you want to make in the world. And so what I usually suggest is to focus on making a change. So really kind of define whatever kind of change you want to make in the world, and then set that as your objective, instead of setting your objective to defeat this other side, whoever the other side might be. And if you're able to do that, like I might be able to, so for example, if I'm in a disagreement with someone, whether it's online or in real life, and let's say we're debating race issues, and I call that person a racist, I might be making my point, and I might even win the argument, but am I any more likely to bringing that person to want to actually help me and ally with me? Probably not. And so if you can focus on shifting your objective to make that person, whoever you're talking to, an ally, to try to prevent harm and to try to solve a problem, it's going to completely change the way that you interact with people, both online and in real life, and it'll actually make you a much more effective change maker, because then you can truly focus on attacking the problem, and you can see people as true people and actually can address their problems more. If you're able to see them and you're able to listen and truly understand what would want to make them an ally, you're going to be much more successful in trying to make whatever kind of change you're wanting to make in the world. So there's my 2 cents.
I think Jennifer and Jessica and Leticia, they touch very important issues related to media and this. But what I also agree with all our colleagues, that empowering the youth and building their capacity, and this is maybe the role also of our organization, other organization, how to empower them, how to give them, enable the environment for them to innovate and create and develop the media, develop the social media and connect with the social media and tackling the challenges they are facing. And instead of bringing people from outside telling us what is our problem, it's better that the youth themselves identify the problem and put it in the social media and start talking about the problems, and not only the problems, but also about the solution from themselves. So the solution should also come from the youth themselves, not coming from us as international organization. And this is mainly what we are using now or doing in Somalia to enable the environment for the youth to create, to be more creative, more innovative in the solution that tackling the challenge. Maybe I can give you one of the examples also of the digital storytelling after they do raising the awareness about the pandemic and COVID-19 through the social media. But we discovered also, as in Somalia and most of the world, now we found also the gender-based violence increased because of the COVID-19, especially in homes and others. So what they are doing now, the storytellers, the Somali storytellers, maybe I will write the hashtag and you can go and visit their social media accounts. They are now developing awareness videos, around 6 videos about the gender-based violence and the COVID-19 and what is the role of the woman if there is something happened, what she should do and what other things, and also raising the awareness about gender-based violence and FGM in Somalia and other, because some of the families, they use that there is the girls at home, so they can go and do the FGM for them. So it's also part of the gender-based violence. So this is part. Other groups now, they are developing videos about the oral history of Somalia, how Somalia was peaceful before the civic war and those things, and interviewing the elders people and bringing. Also, we need to do a dialogue between the elders and the youth, and how to reach agreement that to have youth in the decision making. So this is also my opinion.
So I just wanted to say thanks, Jessica, Jennifer, and Sharif for your address, and Leticia, probably you touch upon the same question. How can youth use media more responsibly to allow or improve the chances of inclusion, peace, and security, especially as we say now youth are prone to propagate hate speech, probably sometimes through social media, or to share fake news. So what advice would you give for youth to avoid these common practices?
Well, it's a complicated question, and I think there are many factors that affect this. But since I am focusing today on the traditional media, and whereas I'm leaving the part regarding the digital media to my fellow speakers, I think that, as I've mentioned, first, the educational system that empowers us youth to be able to believe in ourselves, that we can express ourselves and we can have an impact on society when we speak about our issues and when we try to find common ground all together and to find new initiatives for collaboration. Once we believe, since we are young, that we are able to make a difference and that we gain some trainings during our path, our either in universities or anywhere, when we get these trainings that allow us to express what we have already formed in our minds, we will be able to make such a huge impact. And I have so many examples of people that had a small chance to make an impact through traditional media and the great impact that we were able to do as young people. And therefore, I believe that when we start from the base and then we give the right tools to youth, give them the space, or us as youth, we advocate to gain the space ourselves, just as Mr. Sharif was saying. Sometimes we don't need other organizations to come give us the space to make an impact. We need to do the effort and to come advocate and gain our spaces. We can work towards peace, because while we focus on the good things and on the means of collaboration and self-expression and finding common ground, we will leave behind our hate speech, and we will stop thinking through this narrow pathway of how to exclude people and not really work together towards a better society. And through traditional media, when we are in a TV in everyone's house, when we are in a radio where everyone can hear us without not much technology needed, we can touch a lot more people through this and have and at least inspire, just as Ms. Jessica was saying also, inspire one person at least to do something good. So how can we say when we are inspiring so many people through a TV, for example, a program or an initiative? So I believe we can do this right here and right now.
Yeah, thank you, Leticia. I would share like the final question probably, because we need to wrap up soon. A question from Haya Nabila. Haya is talking about that in the status quo right now, probably youth tend to choose or use media for fun, like TikTok, for example. However, how can we raise awareness of youth to use technology and media for to improve critical thinking and to become more change makers? So what final advice would you give to youth in that regard?
I don't know if you heard me, but my short answer to this is to make it fun. Make it fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that's what people want to do, like if young people want to have fun, like you should be able to have fun and save the world at the same time and feel good about it. Like it should, like meaningful and fun don't have to be separate. Mm-hmm. I think we can find creative, cool ways to make people feel good and to have fun. And so obviously this is why we created Wicked Saints, but so I might be a little biased there, but that's what I truly believe. It's think about your audience and what they care about and what they want to do. And instead of trying to make them come to you, reach them where they are. And if they want to have fun, then like think of ways that are fun to make change. And so that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah. Thanks, Jessica. Anybody else wants to address the same question?
I'll jump in. I couldn't agree more with what the fun-related matters. I was just referring to usually the programs that we see on television, for example, related to politics or related to entertainment and game shows, etc. So I just want to say that my ideas converge with Ms. Jessica, and I think we could all work together towards like empowering youth to have fun. And this is what youth are. This is who we are. We are genuine. We have spontaneity. We are creative. We have new blood. We can create new ideas and at the same time have a great impact. And that is my short message for everyone, for all the youth everywhere. We need to believe that we can do something. We need to believe that we are able to make an impact. And this is the starting point. Once we do that, the tools, we can gain them. We can find a place, find a space for us to talk and find a way. We just need to believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Leticia. So I really want to thank you all for this session, which is on media and technology. Jennifer, thank you for sharing about iEarn as a network, which started probably with promoting peace and breaking barriers since 1988, since its start. Sharif, thank you for touching upon your work in Somalia with the UNDP Accelerator Labs, and Leticia with your call to empower youth and give them the voice and choice and take them more seriously, and Jessica for youth to be creative, have fun, and change the world. Thank you all, and we hope that the youth and the audience have enjoyed this session and found it informative. So I would end it here now. Thank you.
Many thanks, Mariam, and all the speakers for that incredible discussion. Certainly, plenty of ideas to keep us inspired and make better choices and be more conscious about our use of technology and media to contribute to inclusion, peace, and security. We will now take a 15-minute break before coming back for our town hall discussion, which can be accessed through your dashboard. Please come back on time, and we'll see you soon.